Hey everyone, my name is Matt and welcome to the channel, and this is not very surprising news for any of you that have an actual brain in your head. Netflix's Queen Cleopatra appears to have the worst audience score in TV history. Now, when this article was originally written, the audience score was at 1%. It is corrected in this article because it has, hold your horses, it has ticked up to 2%. But this is still the lowest score ever for a television series. And why would that be, do you think? Well, there's a number of reasons why. The main reason that I have seen going through a lot of these reviews, and no, it's not review bombing, it's not racists, it's nothing of that nature. It's literally people saying you can't call it a documentary and just change history because Jada Pinkett Smith said so. That's not what documentaries are. That's not how life works. But that's essentially what we do now. We just change things to how we want to perceive them as be and call it fact, and that's just the way it is. Well, obviously, people push back, and believe it or not, these scores do matter. Not so much critic scores, because we've seen time and time again where a critic score will completely crap on something, but the audience score is the complete opposite because everybody loves it. But we have seen where Rotten Tomatoes have blocked out audience scores or erased audience scores because they were affecting the content, because a lot of people do go to Rotten Tomatoes to see, hey, is this worth watching? And as you can see, this is not worth watching at all. So it says here, however, the show has done something I didn't think was even possible. It is not just the lowest audience score in Netflix history, it is essentially the lowest audience score possible on Rotten Tomatoes. He continues to say there aren't many critics' reviews in, but these are low as well, with the show sitting at only a 13%. But those audience scores, I've never seen anything like this. Not with bad shows, not with politically controversial shows prone to quote-unquote review bombing. Never this bad, not in Netflix history. Honestly, I think not even in TV history, at least with this many reviews in for over 1,000. I think the main reason for this is because of what they are claiming this as a historical documentary. That's the biggest problem. We've talked about this before with race swapping with like Marvel characters, right? You want to do that with a cartoon character that they own? Fine. Nobody owns historical data. You can't change that just because you said so. That's not how the world works. Unfortunately, it happens quite a bit. But it says here, the issue is the conceptualization of what purports to be a historical documentary saying that Cleopatra was a black African queen, as this season was supposed to be the first in a series covering different queens from the continent. But there is not terrible credible evidence that Cleopatra was black, and instead she was of Macedonian Greek descent. The country of Egypt in particular has taken offense to the show altering their history this dramatically and portraying it as something they believe is non-factual in a series that is meant to be a documentary. I've actually seen an article where it's somebody from Egypt, I believe it was like a lawyer or something, are suing Netflix because they are calling this fact because it's not true. There's no proof, there's no hardcore evidence that she was a black African queen. That is just insanity, and these people are absolutely out of their minds. So the creator of the series defended, obviously, her choice of casting and says, quote, why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Now, for the record, I don't need her to be white. She more than likely wasn't pearl white, but she definitely wasn't a black African queen. I can tell you that. She continues to say, her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value. And for some Egyptians, it seems to really matter. After much hand-rigging and countless auditions, we found in Adele James an actor who could convey not only Cleopatra's beauty, but also her strength. What the historians can confirm is that it is more likely that Cleopatra looked like Adele than Elizabeth Taylor ever did. Now, I agree. I don't really think Cleopatra looked like Elizabeth Taylor, but she definitely wasn't on the other side of the extreme and looked like this woman. Like, I don't understand how you're going to condemn Elizabeth Taylor, but then do the exact opposite on the other side of the spectrum. Isn't that hypocrisy? But this has not resonated with critics or audiences. The low scores are no doubt overwhelming because of the casting choice and historical alterations, but the show at its core does not seem to be terribly good even outside of that. I have genuinely never seen a show review like this before, and I'll be curious if Netflix will renew the series so it can spotlight other African queens. The writer of the article actually updates this because they did look into the show and watch a little bit, and as you can tell, besides the historical inaccuracy, the show is bad. Shocking, right? Something coming from Netflix that's bad. So it says here, it is not a huge shock to report that the show is not good. While historical accuracy aside, Cleopatra Adele James is actually quite good in the part from what I saw. The entire thing comes off like one of those bad historical reenactment dramas I used to watch on the History Channel with my parents as a kid. The information, often inaccurate it seems, is also very dull, and the entire thing feels like a dry soap opera. I am not shocked the critics are rejecting alongside fans, not even really mentioning the issues of Cleopatra's casting. Since I wrote the article, the critic scores ticked down to 11%, and the user score ticked up to 2%. Again, this is still the lowest score I've ever seen with the most reviews counter. It speaks again to Netflix lapsed quality control, where projects that probably never should have seen the light of day are instead giving a spotlight. So regardless of the historical accuracies of the show itself is still terrible. We've seen that time and time again from Hollywood and Netflix and all this stuff. And then when we see headlines like this, is this really that surprising to you? Netflix plans to cut spending by $300 million in 2023 because they're spending massive amounts of money on garbage like this and no one's watching it. You have to have consistent content come out that is good to keep people renewed. And shows like this are not going to keep people spending their hard-earned money on trash. So I thought this was definitely worth mentioning and hilarious to talk about because I knew people were going to reject this show due to all the stupidity that was involved with it, especially the people that were involved in making this. But let me know your thoughts below. Like I said, I don't think Cleopatra was obviously some Snow White-looking woman, but she definitely wasn't some black African queen. Like, that's just not realistic. They're changing historical figures into black or brown or Asian, whatever. We will never see a white actor portray Martin Luther King Jr., and we shouldn't. We should not see other historical figures played by anyone else because it is based on actual facts and history. The fact that I even have to explain and defend this statement just shows you what kind of clown world we are currently living in 2023. But I want to know what you all think below in the comments. Please let me know what you think about this. This is insanity to me. It's funny. All you can do is laugh, because if you don't laugh, you're just going to lose your mind. But let me know your thoughts below. I always love to hear them. If you like this video, hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, hey, hit that button. It's free, and check out more content as it comes out. So as always, take care, and I'll see you at the next one.